I'm here with 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl 44 champion Heath Evans. After retiring in 2011, he joined NFL on Fox and then later joined the NFL Network All Access as an analyst. First things, I'm sure you had plenty of interviews regarding your NFL career, but this one's focused primarily on the broadcast portion. So, how did this new career come about, and was it always part of your plan?
Well, I always dreamed about it. I'm also a realist. I know I played 10 years, some great teams, but I was also a fullback. I wasn't a quarterback or a big-time wide receiver or, the type of guys or the characters that get these jobs. And I always tried to give good interviews when I was playing because I knew how difficult it was for the writers and beat writers to do their job. But, all that being said, people always tell me, you're going to go right into TV when you're done. But, I kind of thought I'd have to go back to Boston and go local Patriot stuff or to New Orleans, local Saints stuff, or even back to my hometown in Palm Beach, Florida, and start local and try to build up a career that would maybe get me national, to be able to walk right into a national level gig with Fox and NFL Network was really a dream come true. So I'd always prepped for it, but prepping for it and actually making it happen is two different things.
And given the amount of players that I imagine pursue this career after they finish playing in the NFL, was it a competitive field?
It's highly competitive. I never felt it. Just the network had offered me a job really before I decided to retire, and so I knew I was going to be walking into a national gig. If I decided to hang them up, and so throughout the course of the NFL lockout, I've been given the opportunity to do some interviews on Fox Business and CNN and other national news networks about what was going on with the NFL lockout between the owners and the players and such. So that had given me a national stage to really display my ability to communicate points and my beliefs and thoughts. That really ushered me into grabbing the spot at the network and at Fox that I was able to. So it is highly competitive. I never felt the competitive nature of it just because I was offered a job so quickly prior to retirement.
And this interview is going to focus a bit on the law and ethics of the media. I say now more than ever we have athletes stepping forward. For instance, we have Colin Kaepernick, guys like Arian Foster, and a lot of college players who use their positions in the public eye to bring up societal issues. And the news media has come under criticism for either not giving it enough attention or for giving it too much attention. How should the sport networks go about when they handle stories like this?
Well, I think they just need to handle it factually. I think some of the stuff Colin stands for is good. I think other stuff is highly uneducated. I think, listen, we all have a right to our opinions. If you're going to stand up and use your public platform to try to do good, I just would request that people always be factually truthful as well as relevant. And opinions are opinions. They're just that. The facts you can't argue with. In the media, there's a natural bias depending on who the boss is that runs the network. The NFL Network, we're trying to keep 32 ownership franchises happy with our product. Obviously, Colin was greeted with a lot of negativity and some positivity, depending on what school of thought you were on. I think depending on how controversial the views are, we obviously live in the greatest country in the world. If we didn't, the people that have a problem with it would be leaving elsewhere. So it's one thing to try to make it better, which we all should. But there's other issues when people speak out of opinion instead of facts that make it very difficult for networks to cover. And when athletes or entertainers open themselves up to scrutiny, I think they have to be willing to live with the consequences that follow. But listen, the media is the media. You look at the difference between an MSNBC and a Fox. It all comes down to the principles and the beliefs of really the ownership of the network. And so one has great ratings and one has garbage ratings. So it is what it is.
We've seen with players like Johnny Manziel, Right now, it's with Aaron Rodgers in terms of his issues with his family being brought into the spotlight. As a former player and as a current television analyst, do you think the media is overstepping when they dig into a player's personal life?
I think in the case of Johnny Manziel, it's totally different than the case of Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron's done a good job of, handling his stuff, keeping the on-field stuff on field, off-field stuff. Johnny Manziel's off-the-field stuff was affecting his on-the-field stuff. And, there's rules that have to be followed. Johnny was breaking all of them. Aaron hasn't broken any of them. And so, when a player is drinking and drugging it up and abusing women, no, we're going to pry into that stuff because you represent the Shield. In Aaron's case, I think that stuff needs to be left alone until something either becomes breaking the law or a bad light on the NFL Shield, and then that's where things go. So, the problem is this day and age, between social media and the information age that we live in, if you're in the public eye, every aspect of your life will be scrutinized, especially if you happen to be a superstar player or an A-list celebrity or someone that really draws a lot of attention to themselves.
The final question I'll have for you is, what tips do you give anyone who's pursuing a similar career?
There's two different angles to kind of go about my business. If you were blessed enough to play it, you have an avenue to get in because of your experience playing the game. If you're like my buddy Dan Hellie, who played high school ball and always wanted to be in this business, you go through the communication school and the ranks by volunteering and trying to get internships and really fighting and scratching and clawing your way up the ladder. I'm a big believer in, find people that are doing what you're doing and ask a lot of questions. And whatever their answers is, go get busy doing it, And so the business is very competitive from every side, whether it's an analyst like Dan Hellie or an Amber Theo Harris, or an analyst, a host position like Dan Hellie or Amber Theo Harris, or an analyst position like Lily McGinnis or myself, or some of our other guys here at the network. So I think it's just about taking advantage of opportunities. Obviously, a communications degree will help, but this is a relationship business, so try to build relationships with people in the industry as fast as you possibly can.
First and foremost, I gotta thank Heath Evans. I cannot thank him enough for agreeing to do this interview. I was so shocked to get a reply, let alone an interview. It was a very surreal moment for me, and hopefully this is one of many more to come. And to whoever's listening, I hope you enjoyed this interview I did. He delivered some great insight. My name is Steven Masso, and this is my interview with NFL player and NFL Network analyst Heath Evans.